a few more guests joining us as this presentation goes on. But thank you so much for taking some time out of your Wednesday evening to join us. My name is Mary Lou Huerta. I work in enrollment services as a student success coordinator. One of my roles is primarily local and some of our out of area outreach. And I'm so excited to have you here and to have you learn more about SBCC and what makes our college so special. Just some quick housekeeping as we are going to have multiple presenters. We're going to also have a special video at the very end regarding our study abroad program. So if you are interested in learning more about study abroad, please join us and stay for that video. If you have any colleagues that maybe missed today's session or fellow educators, it will be posted onto our website by the end of the week. So please feel free to go back to our website and we can send out that link if it makes things easier for everybody to rewatch some of the material. And like I said, we're going to have some presenters. We will have time for Q&A. So go ahead and get those questions ready. Make some notes if you're ready. We do have the Q&A feature, so please use that feature today for tonight's presentation. So as I previously said, my name is Mary Lou Huerta. I work in enrollment services. So excited to have you all here joining us. We're going to have Sarah present for placement and review some of those topics under placement and assessment, prerequisites, and our APs and AP scores. Angelica will be touching base on that and answering any questions. And then one of our most popular services on our campus is our University Transfer Academy and Transfer. And Marisol is going to answer lots of important questions that will probably come up, some dates, deadlines, things like that. So definitely get your questions ready for her. We'll have some Q&A, and then we will end with our study abroad program and viewing their video. So hopefully you can join us. If you run out of time, do not hesitate because we'll have that live on or we'll have the recording on our website. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So what is Santa Barbara City College? So we're going to cover a lot of important features about SBCC, including what is SBCC, why you should encourage your students to come to us, or why you should want to learn more about our college, how you're going to get there, and when is all of this going to take place, when you might be assisting your students, when we might be going out for outreach, workshops, things like that. So what is SBCC? We are one of the 116 community colleges in the state of California. We offer a variety of associate's degrees, certificates, and transfer programs. And I will say transfer SBCC is definitely something we are very well known for in the community college community. So oftentimes students do come to us with that interest of transfer, but we also have 2 non-credit campuses with our schools of extended learning. So definitely additional opportunities to continue learning and growing once you've completed your education at SBCC, or maybe you're looking for some professional growth opportunities and you want to take some courses. Another great resource. So why SBCC? First of all, we are going to be a low cost, high quality college. We offer a variety of financial aid opportunities, including FAFSA, DREAM Act. So those are all federal applications. We definitely strongly encourage all of our students apply for those. We know that most seniors now, it is a prereq that, you know, with graduation that they do complete those financial aid applications. We also have the California Promise Grant, the CCPG, which it is often referred to. We also have internal scholarships. So for those students who are thinking about coming to us, I do want to highlight that for internal scholarships, incoming students can also apply for those scholarships. As long as you submit your application, you're eligible to apply for those. So definitely want to highlight that. We also offer over 80 academic majors. Now, obviously, there is no way for us to list all of these majors, right? There are way too many, but these are going to be some of our top 5 majors. They may also at times be more impacted majors. So what that means is there are going to be many students because of their popularity that want to enroll in these. And they may not take a course in business or communications their very first semester. However, if they work with academic counselors, and Marisol will go all into this, they can create plans to ensure that they are meeting their major requirements and taking key component courses to support their major. We also have some amazing support programs, which I am the product of many of these support programs, and I strongly believe in them. I think they are important for student success. I also like to highlight that students can participate in many of these programs, okay? It is not exclusive that you can only participate in one. Students are more than welcome to participate in some of these and one of these and all of these. These are all support programs that students do apply to. Some of them do require an application, an interview, not so much an interview, but more so of an intake. Some require orientation, some require, semester meetings. Maybe you check in once a semester with them, but they are amazing programs. I'm going to start with EOPS. EOPS is going to be one of our state-funded programs at SBCC. EOPS stands for Extended Opportunities Programs and Services. It is one of the most amazing programs. Like I said, I am a product of many of these programs, including EOPS. Students can find an EOPS program really at any one of the community colleges in the state of California. They could also find very similar programs referred to as EOP at the Cal States or the UCs. So it also, students can start with us in an EOPS program and then apply to the EOP programs at the UCs or CSUs. Through our SBCC EOPS program, it is one of the most unique programs in the state because our program provides book grants for students every semester of up to $400. They also provide meal plans for students, allowing students to eat on campus for free for commuting students that are unable to use our local transportation, our local bus transportation for free. They do provide gas cards, but they also provide their own, students would get their own advisor. They also get their own academic counselor. They have their own tutor center, free printing. They get orientation. They get school supplies during finals and the first week of the semester. They also get free breakfast in their center. So it's definitely a great program to be a part of. Definitely encourage students to apply to that program. They can easily submit an application online on our website. You go to EOPS and you can submit that application, and then you will hear back from that program regarding eligibility. Our DSPS program, so our disability services and programs for students. This is going to be to support students who maybe have an IEP or a 504. Now, very similar. You're going to find very similar DSPS programs at any community college in the state of California. They might all have a different title, so it's definitely important to take the time to look at the name and the services of the school you are applying to or you are interested in going to. But at SBCC, it's DSPS, and they help students with all sorts of things. I actually received services as a DSPS student. I did not realize I had a learning disability until I got to SBCC. I was very fortunate to go through their program and get tested and really learn how to best meet my educational needs, right? What kinds of tools did I need to be a successful college student? But they will provide different types of services from a unit accommodation load. Maybe they don't encourage a student to take 12 units, maybe a reduced unit load of 9 units, or maybe they're allowing for extra test time, or maybe they're allowing for audiobooks and they can support with that funding. So there's so many different types of services that students can benefit. Maybe they're allowed to take their exams, their finals outside of that normal traditional classroom setting, right? In one of the DSPS labs, allowing students for extra test time and just in a more private, in an environment where they can truly concentrate. But they don't all just provide services for students with IEPs or 504s. They also provide services for students who maybe need accommodations in class because maybe they got hurt over the weekend, right? Or during the week, maybe suddenly they're taking notes in class with their right arm and then suddenly, or their left arm, and suddenly they're unable to use their arm because they got hurt, they broke it, they sprained it, providing note takers in class, working with instructors. So there are tons of different accommodations that DSPS provides. Our STEM program, so this is going to be for our Wizard students. So if your student is a science, technology, engineering, or math student, we have an amazing STEM center, provides tutoring, counseling, snacks in there as well. They have a space where they can go and study and get tutoring. They also are often doing field trips. They learn of internship opportunities specific to STEM students. It really is a great support program to be a part of and to get connected, right, to other STEM students, to STEM faculty on our campus as well. Study abroad. So this is probably one of my favorite programs and services that we offer at SBCC. I will highlight that not every community college in the state of California or even in our country provide study abroad programs. This is something you often will find at the university level, right? So we are a very special, unique campus because we are able to provide a study abroad program for our students. We also offer some amazing scholarships for our students, really making it more accessible for students to be able to participate in things like study abroad. This is also one of those other services that I was able to benefit from as an SBCC student. It did take me a lot of saving. It took me a full year to save and to make that decision to study abroad. And I will say it was one of the most amazing opportunities that I got to do as a college student. I always like to encourage students, you know, if that's your goal, if that's your dream to study abroad, don't let finances really make that decision for you, okay? I understand it could be a struggle, and I understand looking at that price tag right at the very beginning can be a little overwhelming. If you work hard, if you save, if you apply to scholarships, anything is possible, especially if you put your mind to it. I mean, I was literally doing yard sales, recycling, you list it, I was doing everything to save and to raise money for my study abroad trip. We also have a great health and wellness center where students can go in and get basic needs, over-the-counter medications. You know, for students who maybe need menstrual items, they can go and get those. Maybe you have a headache and you need to go get checked up, or maybe your throat hurts. There's nurse practitioners in there serving our students, but students can also benefit from 6 free counseling sessions. So that's also something very important. We definitely are aware that, you know, mental and physical health is very important. So through our health and wellness centers, students are really able to get that service and that attention that they need to stay healthy all semester long while they're students at our college. Our honors program. So for students who are maybe taking honors courses or want to take honors courses at SBCC, we do have an honors program. Students are required to apply to the honors program. Now, if you are working with high school seniors and those students are interested in applying to our honors program, they can do so once their SBCC application is submitted. The honors application does require a 3.2 GPA. And then students can definitely benefit from additional services with the honors program, right? So in addition to submitting their honors application, they do need to submit their application, copy of their high school transcripts, I believe, be above a 3.2 and a written sample. And that could be a written sample that has already been completed throughout their senior year. Maybe it's an essay, maybe it's a journal entry, anything that they want to submit, they can go ahead and submit. UCLA and UC Irvine do offer priority admission and consideration for students who complete the honor certificate at SBCC. So definitely something to highlight. If you are interested in the honors program or learning more, please let us know and we'll get you that information. Our University Transfer Center, I'm not gonna talk too much about this because we have Marisol and she's really gonna be the expert. You're gonna hear all about it from her. But it is definitely a service that if your student is interested in transfer, getting them connected with our University Transfer Center, the Academy is a great service and support to make sure that they don't fall through those cracks, right? In making sure that they're submitting their application, that they're working towards those units, that the GPA is exactly where it needs to be so that they do have options of picking a variety of schools to transfer to. Our Basic Needs Center. Now, our Basic Needs Center, in my opinion, is going to be one of our really popping hubs on our campus, right? You're going to find our food pantry there. You're going to find our Lux Closet there, which is going to have gently upcycled clothing donated by the community and by the SBCC community. Our food pantry is, imagine a little grocery store where you can go and get basic goods, right, for your home. This is whether students are living on their own or maybe they're living with family. Groceries are expensive. I learned that during Thanksgiving shopping. Groceries are expensive. Our food pantry definitely provides that ease to students, right? Because they can come in and get some groceries. You could also find our Moja and our Dream Center in our base and under our Student Center for Equity and Social Justice. We also have our LRC, our Learning Resource Center is going to be a great place for students to go and look for tutoring. Maybe they want to work on an assignment. Maybe their computer is not working and they need to go and use one of the computers. Maybe they want to, you know, I don't want to say rent, but reserve one of the study rooms, right? Maybe they're going to work with a group of classmates on a project or studying and they want a little a study room. You can make those reservations all through our LRC. Definitely something I enjoy doing as a student. Our transfer program. So something, like I said, we're going to be really well known for at SBCC is transfer and transfer success. So we have something called TAG, Transfer Admission Guarantee. This allows students to tag into some schools. One of our most popular schools being UCSB, right? Because it's right in our backyard. So one of our most popular schools that students do tag into is UCSB. Students do need to meet the GPA requirement to tag into schools. The list, it is a very long list. It includes UC, CSUs, private and out-of-state schools. I would definitely encourage students to look at TAG and to work on those and to work on a TAG application because it allows students to, you know, get rid of that stress just by knowing that, hey, I'm going to be guaranteed admission into this school as long as I meet that GPA requirement. So that's important to keep in mind. You can also tag into one school. You cannot tag into multiple schools. And that is because you're guaranteed admission. Our academic counseling center and our counselors are really going to work with students in ensuring and helping them pick and decide what their career and academic goals are, right? They're going to meet with them. They're going to help them pick their classes, make sure they're staying on path. And hey, if life happens to a student, because life can happen to all of us, right? We are literally coming out of a pandemic right now. And maybe a student didn't do so well a semester. Well, that might change their student plan, right? Then working with their academic counselor, they're going to help them, you know, fix those plans. They're going to help them make sure that they're still working towards their goal, whether it's academic or career goal. We also offer some amazing certificate programs. So that's my next one, certificate programs. These are going to be amazing hands-on programs. I want to highlight that many of these programs do require supplemental applications. So what does that mean? You want to be a culinary arts student and participate in our program. In addition to submitting your SBCC application, you're also going to be submitting an application for culinary arts. So definitely something, you know, to keep that in mind. But we do have some amazing programs. They're hands-on programs. And, you know, a lot of times once these students are done completing these programs, they're already working out, working in those careers, right? They're really, most of them come out debt-free. They're established and making pretty good money. So we definitely also want to highlight some of our certificate programs. Financial aid. So all of these QR codes do work. I do want to remind you all that this presentation will be recorded. We will have it posted on the website. So these virtual links do work. We do have a virtual front desk. Our financial aid office is extremely hands-on in providing several workshops throughout the week. So they offer workshops during the day. So if you want to sit down and meet with your student in our financial aid office, you have that option to do that. Or if your students are looking for help and support in completing their financial aid applications and they want to do a drop-in for one of our evening sessions, that is also an option. As I mentioned, we do offer many internal scholarships for our students. Once the student applies for SBCC and they activate their student portal, which we're going to go into in a little bit, but once they activate that student portal, they will be allowed to apply for our internal scholarships, and mainly because it asks for some student information that they need to know as an SBCC student. Students are also eligible to apply for the California College Promise Grant, often referred to as the CCPG. Now, just want to clarify that the CCPG, that's going to be identified as California aid, okay? And then lastly, what we really encourage our students to do is to apply for either the DREAM Act or the FAFSA. Now, either application is really going to depend on what your student status is regarding whether you have a social security number or not, but there are options for both of those students, right? And we want to make sure students are aware and highlight those. So as long as you complete your FAFSA or your DREAM Act, you don't have to worry about completing that CCPG, because that application is actually embedded in those applications, okay? However, we have some students that are not eligible for the DREAM Act or for the FAFSA. Those are going to be students that complete the CCPG. However, high school seniors should be completing one of those two financial aid applications, whether it's the FAFSA or DREAM Act. Now, how are you going to get here? Whether it's you working with your student, explaining this to your student, or if you're maybe a student who dropped in, how are you going to get to SBCC? Well, step one is going to be to apply. So you're going to submit your application. You can find that directly on our website through CCC Apply. Step two, please allow up to 24 hours for your application to be processed. So once your application is processed, you'll be able to activate your Pipeline account. That's your student account where you can make appointments with your academic counselors. That's where you will register for classes. That's where, if you're a DSPS student, you're going to do your application, all of those things. Third step is you're going to check placement. Now, because we use multiple measures, which Sarah will cover, students are not required to take their math or English placement tests. Or I'm sorry, they're not required to take math or English placements. But we do want to make sure that, they submitted that application right by checking placement. Step four, especially for out-of-area students, you're going to be completing your orientation online. It is about a 30 to 45-minute process, including the video. There's a catch. There is a video at the end that students will need to complete. Class planning is right. You're almost there. You're almost registering. Students will be meeting with academic counselors to select their courses, to understand the difference between some of your math and English pathways, to understand the differences between completing an associate's degree and a transfer program or certificate. So the counselors really work with students in explaining that. And then lastly, you get to register for your classes. I will say, don't forget that your student fees do need to be paid within 7 business days. Now, some important dates for seniors. Spring 2023 will begin a little later this year. So if we have any mid-year grads and your student is already graduating or will be about to graduate before the start of spring semester, they could start spring semester. Spring semester starts January 23rd, 2023. The spring application is currently open. Below are the dates for summer and our fall terms. Our summer and fall application will open up in January. Now, we've also added some amazing tools and resources that you can use that QR code to get. Steps to enrollment, application guides, and registration guides. And these are both in English and in Spanish. So please take advantage of them. Housing for our out-of-area students. There are different housing options. Now, I do want to highlight that these are not direct affiliations with SBCC. We do not provide sponsored housing for students or direct housing. However, we do work with various companies in our SBCC and Isla Vista community that do work to cater and provide housing only for SBCC students. Some of them will provide that dorm style living or apartments, roommates, your own room. You can have a roommate or a housemate. But if you do want to explore housing options, I would definitely encourage you to visit our webpage. The website's right there, or you can scan the QR code as well. Athletics. So we do have a pretty active athletics department. These are the following athletic team sports that are currently available to students. Our college participates in the Western State Conference. They also participate in the California Community College Athletics Association. Students do need to meet minimum requirements. They do need to be in a minimum of 12 units, have a minimum of a 2.0 GPA, and they do need to submit an interest form for the specific athletic team that they are interested in participating. I do want to give a quick shout out to our women's water polo team because they just won the CCCAA state championship. So way to go, water polo team. Tours are back. We have standing weekly tours. Please check our website for those dates and times. We would love for you to join our campus, visit us, get to know us, see. That's literally, I mean, you can't beat that view, right? You're right across. You can smell the ocean. If you have an interest in scheduling individual or family tours or large group tours. Maybe you want to bring your school out here, please contact us, scan the QR code, visit our webpage for more information and to get your questions answered about tours. And please remember that you are not alone in this process. I understand that I just went over a whole lot of information, but you are not alone in this process. As educators, as fellow counselors, as students and families, we are here to help you with this process and as your students transition to SBCC. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate. If you want to meet in person, if you want to do a Zoom, phone appointments, all of those things, anything under the sun is available to help you help your students with their transfer to SBCC. You can send us an email or give us a call. So now I'm gonna introduce Sarah. Sarah, go ahead and join us now, and I'm gonna have her take over.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mary Lou. So my name is Sarah Voley. I also work in enrollment services, helping out with the math and English placement process. As Mary Lou mentioned, Santa Barbara City College, like many community colleges and other colleges across the state and country, we no longer use exams for placement into math and English courses. So part of the SBCC application is a questionnaire asking students to report their high school grade point average, the grade in the highest math class that they took, as well as the grade in the highest English class that they took. Now, this information is used by SBCC to place students into transfer level courses. So all students entering the college are eligible for transfer level math and English. We do recommend, not require, but we recommend that some students enroll in co-requisite support classes that they would take along with the transfer level courses. So these placements, Mary Lou mentioned our student portal. It's called Pipeline. These placement levels are posted in each student's Pipeline account after they apply to the college. And that's something that will be discussed with each student's academic counselor before they register for classes during their new student class planning session. And if we could go to the next slide, I have a couple of resources here. These will be available to you after the webinar this evening. You can look at the flowcharts. These show the sequence of Santa Barbara City College's math and English courses. We have a resource called Choosing Your First English Class. So as I mentioned, there's a number of support options available for students when they choose their first transfer level English class. So this gives an overview of those different options so students can decide which one is best for them. We also have some math placement guides. So it shows the different levels of math that students are placed into, some sample problems from those types of math courses, as well as an overview of the support options available. If you or your students do have any questions related to the placement process at Santa Barbara City College, our email is on this slide. It's just assessment@pipeline.sbcc.edu. Please reach out over email, and that's about it. So I think I'll turn it back to you, Mary Lou. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sarah. So now we're going to have Angelica join us from our admissions and records office.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. Thank you guys for joining us so late in the evening. My name is Angelica Contreras, and I am the Acting Director of Admissions and Records and Dual Enrollment. This evening, I'm going to talk to you guys a bit about the process for evaluating transcripts or clearing prerequisites. So, and if a student, let's say, took a course, 2 years of high school Spanish on their high school campus, then they could get cleared for 1 year of Spanish on the college campus. So in order to clear that prerequisite, they will go to the transcript evaluation office webpage and complete a prerequisite clearance form that will help them satisfy the prerequisite. As I said, there's a few ways to do that. They can complete coursework taken at another institution. So that could either be at their high school or at another college. If they took a course at another college, they would submit their official transcripts to be reviewed to the SBCC Admissions and Records Department, and then they would request that prerequisite clearance. This office also clears AP scores for placement and clearance for a next level courses. So if a student completed an AP exam with a 3 or higher, there's a possibility that they could be cleared for a course on the college campus. So that's good to note there. You can also clear those by emailing the prerequisite office or completing that prerequisite clearance form. Another one that is a bit tricky sometimes for students is, let's say that they have a native language of Spanish or French, and they feel like they're fluent and ready to take the next level of that language course. They could also submit a prerequisite form and do it on the basis of understanding, being fluent in the language. So usually we ask that the student submit supporting documentation with that. So typically, also a transcript as well, or if it's just the language, then a letter from a counselor or some type of language proficiency so that we can see that and clear that. Next slide, please. So we do have deadlines for the prerequisite clearance, and that is really just to give the student enough time to get cleared to register in the course so that they haven't fallen too far behind before they can get officially registered. So the spring deadline is Friday, January 27th to complete that, and that gives our office enough time to clear those prerequisites. So if we do have to evaluate a transcript, sometimes that can be a bit quicker. But if we have to get something cleared as a prerequisite on the basis of, not completing an official course, then that typically has to be sent to a department chair for clearance. And so that does take a bit more time to get through the process. So we do ask for a bit more time for that. And the summer deadline would be Friday, June 9th. So the earlier that we can get these in, it'll be better for you guys to get into the class officially. As many of you guys know, our registration date for dual enrollment students is December 13th. So it's coming up next Tuesday. So completing this process prior to that deadline is ideal so that you can be ready to register on that date. So again, it does take some time to process. These forms are not automatic. So please give yourself enough time to process the form. And you will be emailed to your pipeline email. Thank you, Mary Lou. Go one slide back. Oh, other way. Yeah, so so the transcript evaluation office also clears the math area E1. So if a student completed a course at their high school that is equivalent to that course, then it could possibly be that they don't have to take that course in college. So again, you can submit those to the transcript evaluation office. The email is down there at the bottom, sbcc.edu/TEO, and that'll give you all the information that you need. Next slide. So next I'm going to talk about the dual enrollment office. So we recently went through a website redesign, so that link is there for you now. If you look at the front of that website, it'll take you through the steps to enrollment as a dual enrollment student and give you some very useful links that are needed and kind of go-to links that you'll need as a dual enrollment student. So one of the links there is that parent consent form. Parent consent form is an online form, but it is not automatic. So it does take 2 to 5 business days for processing. And we cannot process that form until the application is complete because we don't have a form, an application to link it to. So please follow the steps in order for the process to be as smooth as possible. If you need application support or you have questions about prerequisites for dual enrollment students, this can be a bit trickier. We do have appointments available again on that front page of our website, and the link will be right there at the top. In addition, we do have a new electronic form for our dual enrollment approval form. Our dual enrollment students do need a new approval form from their counselor each semester. So each semester and for every course, you can certainly put as many courses as you want on one form, but we will need a new one every semester. Again, this is an online form, but it is not automatic. So we cannot process that form until we have an application in the system and a parent consent form in the system. And once we have those forms in the system, then we can process the approval form, and that will take 2 to 7 business days. If you have any questions, you can email dualenrollment@sbcc.edu. We do get back to our emails in 1 to 3 business days, depending on the season. Next slide, please. So this is a helpful little tip for our steps to enrollment, which you can also find on our front page. So first you would apply to the college. The next step would be to create your pipeline account. Once you've done that, you can submit your parent consent form. And then once that is submitted, then you can complete the dual enrollment approval form, a registration form, and that is what clears you to take the courses so that you're ready to go on that date of registration.
Oh no, so it looks like we might have lost Angelica. Hopefully she'll be able to hop on, but I will take over and do my best. So as she was saying, these are the following steps to enrollment. So first, students do need to apply and verify their admissions application. Students then, very similar to first time to college students, right, will also create and log into their pipeline account. Extremely important. Step 3 is submitting those parent verification forms. Now, dual enrollment has definitely made everything much more streamlined and easier, especially with their new website update. Next, step 4 would be submitting that course approval for the term that they are requesting. So it is extremely important to remember that if students do want to register in specific courses, that many of these courses do require that counselor approval. Following step 5, it would be check for prerequisites. So, some courses may require a math or English level, and it's definitely important that students acknowledge and are aware of the courses that may require those math and English levels to ensure that they have already completed those so that they can successfully register in those courses, especially if they are wanting to take some upper level courses. The last step would be registration, which students will be able to register. And as Angelica had mentioned and highlighted, registration for our dual enrollment students for spring will be next Tuesday, December 13th. Now, I think she might have joined us back. Oh, there she is. So
I am sorry, my
You're
computer
okay.
died. So thank you, Mary Lou. I really appreciate that. And I think we're on step 7 here. Mandatory fees for students. So as a reminder, there are some fees for students if students, dual enrollment students do not pay for enrollment fees as long as they stay under 11.9 units. Once a student reaches 11.9 units, so once they're at 12 units, they are responsible for all fees, enrollment fees, and mandatory fees. So please keep that in mind. When a student won't be able to clear themselves automatically, they would need to get approval to clear to take 12 units, just because it does tend to go from only paying $30 to paying almost $800 in fees. So please be mindful that students stay under that 11.9 units. So those enrollment fees are They are waived, but the student health fee, transportation fee is not waived. So students will be required to pay for those fees. We do have a new book grant that is available to assist our students. So that again is on that home page. You will see a request for to submit a Google request for a book grant. You do need to submit that every term. It's $200 per semester. So you'll get $200 for fall, $200 for spring, and $200 for the summer. Next slide, please. So just again to highlight, the prerequisite clearance process can be a bit tricky for our dual enrollment students especially. So keep in mind that on our front page of our website, you can set up an appointment to meet with a prerequisite analyst so that they can help you through the process. Next slide. And finally here, just as a reminder, the first date of priority registration for our dual enrollment students is Tuesday. And then our priority registration date for summer 2023 will be mid-April or so. We will also be having a dual enrollment early college orientation for out of area families, and that will be coming up in August 2023. So we will be sending an invite regarding that, and so we can go through some of these questions more in depth if needed. So thank you guys so much. Appreciate you being here.
Great. Thank you so much, Angelica. Next, probably one of our most popular programs on our campus is going to be, or center is going to be Marisol for our University Transfer Academy. So Marisol, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen so that you have now access to that.
All right, thank you. So welcome everybody to our presentation. We're glad you're here. I'm going to be sharing some really great information regarding transferring from SBCC after you've actually completed your requirements. As Mary Lou has said, she started her educational journey here, and so many of you can do that as well. So what is considered a transfer student? So anyone who has graduated from high school or has completed a regular session at a college is now considered a transfer student.
Marisol, I'm sorry to interrupt. We can't see your screen. Do you mind going ahead and trying that one more time for us?
Absolutely. Sorry,
You're
okay. Perfect.
There we go. I believe.
Okay, here we go. So let's make sure that you can still, so thumbs up on that one.
Yes, we can see that. Thank you.
Okay, thanks for letting me know. All right, so again, some students are taking classes. You're talking about dual enrollment, which is definitely beneficial to students as they can earn high school and college credit. But we're talking about for students who are finishing high school or maybe are at least 18 years old and want to come to the California Community College system, they're now considered a transfer student to their next institution. What are some of the transfer options that we offer through SBCC? Well, many students are coming to our campus because they want to transfer possibly to a UC. That's like the University of California. Some are considering transferring to a CSU, which is the California State University system. And then we have 78 private schools just in California alone, but there's many privates across the United States. And again, you can transfer out of state. So basically, in other words, you can transfer anywhere. We do have some even international universities that we have partnerships with. So how is the process going to prepare you to transfer when starting at SBCC? Well, the majority of your time is going to be spent in general education classes. This is about 35 to 40 units of requirements that are going towards your bachelor's degree. in the United States, they want you to be a well-rounded student. And so it's important to not just only know your major, but to be well-versed in English, math, arts, humanities, social behavioral sciences, and physical and biological science. So again, that's what's making up this general education area. The major preparation. This is also part of your requirements to transfer to the university systems. They want you to take the prerequisite courses in order to enter that field of study, to be prepared and have the knowledge in order to be successful at that four-year institution. And some students have room for electives. So they've completed all their general education requirements. They've completed everything required for their major, but they want to take some fun classes that weren't offered through the K through 12 system. And so you're able to take many electives, which is really fun to balance out your schedules. It also, again, allows you to pursue your other interests in addition to your major. So basically, the minimum units that's required to transfer to the UC and CSU system is 60 transferable units. And typically, students think that they could transfer as a sophomore, which is considered a lower division transfer. The public institutions in California do require that 60 minimum units for admission. They also require that you complete both college level English courses, which is known as our English 110 freshman composition course and our English 111 or our critical thinking with composition. You also must have one college level math class. This can include a college algebra, pre-calculus, statistics course, and any courses higher than that for admission to the university systems. And then again, some of the courses, some schools would require certain preparation courses to be done within the major. So you're looking not just at one school. We encourage students to look at multiple schools so that we can compare the requirements and plan efficiently towards your educational goal. So what will you do while you're at SBCC? You're going to complete your general education classes. You're also going to complete your major preparation courses. And again, if you have time, you do complete electives and you transfer as a junior. So this is not a longer route if you go to a community college. You're doing half of your bachelor's degree at SBCC at a lower cost with top quality education that are all going to be available to you as a freshman and sophomore, like if you would have went to the, but you get a lot of one-on-one interaction with your professors. Your classes are a lot smaller. As Mary Lou said, you know, those additional support services that are available to you. As a UCLA grad, my classes were, you know, 100 to 300 in my class. And so having that one-on-one experience or only having about 20 to 30 students in your class lets you make those great connections with your professors. So depending on the amount of units you take, most students are at SBCC for 2 to 3 years. So 12 units is considered full-time. However, if you're trying to transfer or graduate within the 2 years, most students will take 15 units every fall and every spring semester if they don't want to do summer. Also, while you're at City College, it's important to think about your grades. You're starting a fresh college transcript. We want to make sure that you do really well. The better you do in your grades, the more opportunities you have for transfer. Also, participating in some extracurricular activities, joining athletics. We have social clubs, academic clubs. This also helps you in admission for transfer to especially the UC system, where they ask about this information in their personal insight questions, and many private schools do as well. So this is kind of the big picture. So you're doing half of your time at SBCC towards your bachelor's degree. So that's a BA or a BS, a Bachelor of Arts or Bachelor of Science. Then after transfer, usually you're spending another 2 years completing the upper division courses that are in your major. So say you're majoring in psychology, you'd be doing all of your general education and prerequisites for psychology, and then you'll be spending your upper division courses, usually another 60 units or 90 quarter, depending on the system you go to. And then you'll be earning a minimum of 120. That's usually typical for a bachelor's degree. And so what is required to transfer? So there are multiple factors that we look at and the universities consider when admitting students for transfer. We look at the minimum eligibility, and then you also look at the selection criteria. And so again, being competitive with your GPA allows you to apply and be eligible to transfer to some of the top schools: UCLA, Berkeley, UC San Diego, Cal Poly SLO, some private schools like USC, Stanford, things like that. General education sometimes is required at some of these universities prior to transfer, and sometimes it's recommended. And also, even within those schools, some require all major preparation to be completed prior to transferring, or some are just highly recommended, and then you finish when you get there. And as counselors, we assist you in knowing what's required for your specific schools or interest and major. So what are the UCs looking at for minimum eligibility, and what is also being competitive? So basically all the UCs in California, except for UC San Francisco, they're a graduate and professional school only. So there's 9 UC campuses that students can transfer to from SBCC or any California community college. They require 60 semester units. If you go to a school that's on a quarter system, it would be 90 quarter units. All California residents are required to have a minimum of a 2.4 UC GPA to go to any UC campus. Again, that's the minimum. That doesn't mean that a 2.4 would get you into Berkeley. They also require students to complete a minimum of 7 general education courses known as a 7-course pattern. This includes 2 English courses, 1 college level math, and 4 other courses from 4 other subject areas. This can include arts, humanities, social behavioral sciences, and physical and biological science. Now, being competitive, this is what we want you to focus towards and encourage your students or your son or daughter to try to be competitive. So completing of a GETSI, this is a general education pattern that I'm going to talk about in a moment that satisfies all your requirements of your general ed for a bachelor's degree before you transfer. Completion of all your major preparation courses. So that way you go into full major standing at the university and only focus on the upper division courses to graduate. And then also, again, having a competitive GPA, sometimes even within your major coursework that you're transferring. Some schools are screening for those good GPA within your prerequisite courses in your major. So most students, when they're looking at the UCs, they're saying, well, if we're looking at some of the top UCs, where should my GPA range be? 3.2 is usually competitive, again, for UCLA, Berkeley, and San Diego. And I'll be talking about a little bit more about the UCs and the tag in a separate slide in a moment. This is different for the CSUs. There's 23 California state universities in California. They actually just had a recent update. CSU Humboldt became the 3rd Cal Poly. Now they're Cal Poly Humboldt. So they have a lot of good majors. There's 8 CSUs that are non-impacted, which means that they're admitting students at a 2.0 at a transfer student in certain majors of study. And similar to the UC system, the CSUs require junior level transfers, which require 60 semester units or 90 quarter units. The CSU does go a little bit lower in their minimum GPA. 2.0 would be for transfer students to a non-impacted major or a non-impacted school. They would admit at a 2.0. For example, CSU Channel Islands, one of our local feeders, would admit at a 2.0. All the CSUs require what they call is the Golden 4 courses for general education for admission. This is a requirement that you must get a C or better in the following classes, which is 2 English courses, 1 college level math, similar to the UC. They do add an oral communications component that's required for all majors. And they feel that this is a very important skill, not just in college, but in your professional and adult life. So being competitive, again, in completing your general education IGETC or the CSU general ed pattern, completion of all your major prep courses, especially for some of the top CSUs, Cal Poly SLO, Cal Poly Pomona, CSU Long Beach, San Diego State. They're looking for all those courses to be completed before transfer. Also receiving a good GPA. The CSUs do have an associate degree for transfer, which I'm going to talk about with the tag, and they're known as an associate in arts for transfer, an associate in science for transfer, and they have it in certain majors. And so the benefits of earning that is definitely you can get entry-level positions at jobs and also maybe get promoted at your current job. So I always tell students it's always good if you can get an associate degree on the way, but it's not required for admission to the UC or CSU. And one last thing is some CSUs, depending on the major, maybe you're thinking of nursing, a specific area, Cal Poly SLO for some of their majors, and a few other CSUs do require a supplemental application as part of their admission process. And our independent and private and out-of-state schools. This can vary from campus to campus. Again, students transfer to private and out-of-state colleges all the time. Some private schools let you transfer as a sophomore, maybe after 1 year of study at SBCC. A lot of private schools also do recognize IGETC, which is the general education pattern for the UC and CSU system. We have a whole list of schools that do that. We also have various agreements with private and out-of-state schools about what courses they want you to take for transfer prior to going to that university. So there's not really any guessing. We strategically can plan for you to go to any of the universities you're thinking about going to. So a little bit more about general education. So general education, which is known as IGETC for the public systems, this is accepted at all UC and CSUs. This is the most popular general education pattern that students are following to keep most options open for transfer. The CSU does have their own general education pattern. It's not any less requirements than the IGETC. It just gives students a little bit more options as far as what's meeting the general ed requirements. So students can follow IGETC and be eligible to go to a UC and CSU. And also we have a list of the private schools as well. Is general education required for admission? No. However, it's highly recommended because whatever general education a student doesn't finish at SBCC or at a California community college, they must finish the general education at the four-year institution. And so areas in STEM, which is like science, technology, engineering, math. So some examples, again, are some of the biological and physical sciences, computer science, engineering majors. Their focus is more on the preparation in the major over GE, general education. So strategically with a counselor, we're going to put that student on the right path to make sure that they're spending their time at SBCC in the efficient manner that they should based on their major and their educational goal for transfer at those institutions. These are just samples of the general education sheets that we publish them online. We also have them in the counseling office located in the University Transfer Center. So students are always asking, where's the iGETC form? They get to know it. Again, the iGETC makes up about 35 to 40 units. It has different areas of completion that a student must do. So again, I know you're not able to read the numbers, but again, it has English, math, arts, humanities, social behavioral sciences, and physical and biological science. And again, it ranges around 35 to 40 for the iGETC, and it's 39 units for the CSU General Ed. And this is an important tool that counselors use almost all day, every day when students have a goal of transferring to the UC-CSU to look up your major requirements to transfer to that institution. So SBCC has sat down with all the UC and Cal States and said, what classes do you want our students to take to fulfill requirements in your major? And so you have access to this as a student, as well as a counselor. It's a public website. It also allows you to explore your areas of study and compare requirements between institutions. So basically, you just indicate that you're at Santa Barbara City College because it has all the California community colleges in here. We use the goal of UCSB since that's one of our top schools for transfer. And then what will come up is an articulation agreement after you decide on a major. So it has all UCSB's majors in alphabetical order. All you would do is select the major that you're interested in and say view agreement. And what comes up is the articulation agreement by major. It has a lot of information that the university wants you to know. Whether do all the classes need to be done? Is there a specified GPA required in the major? This one happens to have one for economics, which is one of UCSB's top 10 majors. They require a 275 in your micro and your macroeconomics and your calculus course. So if you don't have that 275, but you have the 3.4 overall, students are denied admission. So it's important that you're reading all the information the university lists on this agreement. In addition, it will have the list of all the courses that you would need to take at SBCC, which is listed on the right-hand side, and the equivalents at the university would be listed on the left. So when you went to the university's website, you might not have the same course numbers. Every university department labels courses differently, but this website tells you what they are at SBCC. And so, for an example, a student would take micro and macroeconomics and one of our calculus options for admission to UC Santa Barbara. So again, it's a great tool to kind of compare information, and we use it all the time. Again, I work in the University Transfer Academy. This is where we specialize on helping students participate in our TAG program, which is our transfer admission guarantee. Benefits of joining our program: it's free. Okay, all students that join our program, we try to give you a lot of opportunities to meet with the UC, the CSU, private out-of-state reps to talk to them one-on-one about going to their institution. We help you with the transfer process. We help you do a student education plan, mapping out all your courses every term while you're at SBCC to ensure you're completing all your general education and your major requirements to transfer to that institution. We offer workshops on transferring to different schools, the popular majors. We also provide campus visits. We'll take you guys sometimes for an overnight visit. We've taken students down south to San Diego State, UC San Diego, CSU San Marcos. We've taken students out of state to University of Arizona, ASU. We've gone up north to Berkeley, UC Santa Cruz. San Francisco State. So we definitely try to expose you to the different options and different environments. Not every school fits everyone's needs, and not every school has every major. So you definitely always want to just, pop in, go to our website. We're on the first floor of the Student Services building, right across from the General Counseling office, right next to admissions and our Welcome Center. We have a lot of resources on our website. This is the additional transfer admission guarantees that we have outside of UC and CSU, which gives you a little bit more information that you can tag to not just the UC, but again, possibly to a private or out of state. And so you want to look at those agreements as well. And when you're looking at tag, there are multiple criteria that guarantee admission for a student. So it's not just the GPA overall. Sometimes there are certain courses, certain amount of units, things that may be included as part of the tag. And that's what us transfer counselors help you know and educate you about. So for the UC system, there's 6 campuses you're able to submit a free tag to with no obligation to go. So again, like Mary Lou had said, why not be guaranteed a spot and still apply everywhere and see where you get in? So you'll notice UCLA, Berkeley, and UC San Diego are not on this matrix. They do not guarantee admission to any student from anywhere for any reason. They do a comprehensive, holistic review of all of their university applicants. So definitely we have a lot of students transferring to Cal, UCLA, and San Diego. They're just not guaranteed. But all of them are being strategic in applying for a tag agreement to one of these UC campuses. So I just wanted to let you know what the GPA range is as of this time. UC Davis is admitting at a 3.2 UC transferable GPA. UC Irvine is at a 3.4. UC Merced is at a 2.8. UC Riverside is also at a 2.8. UC Santa Cruz is at a 3.0. And UC Santa Barbara is a 3.4. The only thing with the UC Santa Barbara, the College of Engineering and the College of Creative Studies does not participate in TAG. They have very popular engineering programs that have exceeded the number of spots available for TAG. So therefore, students would just apply to the College of Engineering without TAG to UCSB. Only the letters in science, which houses approximately about a little under 100 majors, would participate in TAG. So I just wanted to make that side note. So every year, September 1 through the 30th is when the UCs open their tag for the following fall. So there is no tag for a winter or a spring quarter or semester, depending on the UC. The CSUs, they offer a tag known as Associate Degree for Transfer. So this is known as an ADT, similar to when I was talking about the CSU slide of an AAT or an AST. So the CSUs developed a plan to earn an associate degree that has a transfer emphasis to it. That will give you a 1% boost in your admission criteria to the CSU, but not necessarily the CSU of your choice. So the GPA is a bigger factor in admission. So if you can earn the associate degree for transfer and have a high GPA, the likelihood of you getting in is a lot better. However, if you apply to CSUs and earn an associate degree for transfer, but you weren't admitted to the 5 schools that you applied, you would be redirected to CSU Channel Islands. And if CSU Channel Islands, which is our newest CSU in California, our next campus that you'd be redirected to would be CSU Northridge. Okay. So you definitely still have a spot. It's just, again, working hard and getting those good grades. These are the 27 majors we currently have an associate degree for transfer in at SBCC. This is not a comprehensive list of all of our associate degrees. These are just the ones that have the transfer emphasis to it. So we have the most associate degrees for transfer. There's 27 templates made by the CSU right now, and we have all of them available to our students. We're very lucky and fortunate that we have these big departments that are able to offer all these degrees. Not every California community college has the capability and the classes that would satisfy the requirements for the CSU for the associate degree for transfer. And I always tell students, hey, it's something that you earned on the way. So definitely take advantage of it. So even if you're going to a UC, we have students that earn the associate degree for transfer that the CSU awards at City College and continues on. So these are just some important reminders. We want you to come in and meet with a counselor every semester while you're at Santa Barbara City College. We want to help you set your goals, monitor the courses you're taking, help you balance your schedule, make sure you're taking the right general education courses that you need, depending on where you're looking at going for your four-year institution. We want to make sure that the classes you're taking are transferable. Not all courses at SBCC transfer to the university systems. We have a lot of vocational classes, other courses. So we want to make sure that you're spending your time wisely and you're not wasting any unnecessary money or kind of going off your path just because you didn't know about the resources that are available to you. And sometimes as counselors, we strategize with you guys, and there's things that you don't know because no one ever told you about it. Like taking a class, passing students who are not STEM majors are submitting a pass no pass form right now for some of the classes. If they're a film major, they're not doing good right now in their biology class. So they're submitting a form which is due this Friday coming up on December 9th. And they're protecting their GPA because they're getting a B and they don't want to lower their GPA. So they get the credit and they get the units. They're getting the requirement of the area met for general ed, and they're being strategic in their planning. So again, when you pass a class, a C is passing. You cannot retake C's. So we want you to do as well as you can so that you have the most opportunities for transfer. You'll notice, when I was going over through the GPAs, they're a lot lower than the freshman admission. Again, UC and CSU, the UCs take the top 12% in the nation for freshman admission. So there's not enough spots for all of you. And for any of you that are planning on going to graduate school beyond a bachelor's degree, this is an opportunity to save some money at your first 2 years of going to community college and then transferring and then paying a lot for grad school. But it's definitely worth it. Going to college is opening that door to a lot of opportunities and finding things that you might love to do and hopefully lead to that career that you end up really enjoying and taking advantage of. So again, I wanted to share that we have lots of resources that we're going to be able to share with you after the presentation is over, that you can actually get more information depending on your interests to kind of explore maybe your different personality styles, see what schools even have your areas of study, and also be able to take advantage of some of the resources that we have early on, because I feel like the more information that you know, the better informed decisions you can make for your future. And that's going to finish my part of the presentation. And so I know we do have a question and answer section. Mary Lou, are you gonna check that?
Yeah, we're checking it. We currently don't have any questions that haven't been answered.
Sorry, my little mute button disappeared on me. Thank you, Marisol. Thank you for all of the information. Always extremely helpful. If we do have any questions, this would be a great time to ask them. So please ask away if you have any at this moment. I want to make sure, are guests able to see my screen or no right now? No? Okay, let's make sure that this is shared just so we can finish up. And as we had said, we will have a short video if we don't have any more questions. But if you do and you're a little shy, you don't want to ask them right now, we completely understand. Let me go ahead and share this. Here we go. We do have a short video from our Study Abroad office. We're going to go ahead and show you that now. We hope that you can stay with us to watch this video and learn more about Study Abroad. And just in case if you have Q&A, please go ahead and drop those in for Q&A. So we're going to go ahead and watch this video now.
Hi, my name is Nicole Walther, and I am the Study Abroad Program Advisor here at Santa Barbara City College. I'm sorry I can't be with you tonight, but I hope I can share this information via this presentation. A general overview of our programs. SBCC Study Abroad programs have been around since 1973. We are the 5th largest study abroad community college program in the US and have gone to locations all over the world, more than 20 countries, including China, Peru, Costa Rica, Indonesia, Japan. We've been all over Europe, including Germany, Italy, France, Austria, the Netherlands, England, and more. We have sent over 6,500 students abroad, and our programs usually offer courses that are UC and or CSU transferable and can count towards your general ed requirements or IGETC requirements. The benefits of studying abroad with SBCC are that our programs are usually faculty-led. That means that we can have different destinations as well as different courses being offered on these destinations just because our SBCC professors are taking students abroad. And if it is a history professor, we will offer history courses. If it is a marine biology professor, it will be marine biology, in addition to some other courses that are being offered. Our programs are either a semester program or a short program in the summer or the winter break. And in terms of cost, you will like to hear that our programs often cost a third or up to 50% less than programs offered at four-year universities. So that's pretty attractive for students, especially as they come straight from high school. Why should students study abroad? There's, of course, many reasons, and I'm sure you've known and heard many of them. It helps students define their career goals. It is a great personal development opportunity and enhances students' intercultural competence. It enhances problem-solving skills and resilience. It often can enhance the academic performance just because of the different environment. And it is a great resume builder as the world is getting more global and more interconnected. It is really important for employers to have employees that are globally competent. The program requirements of our study abroad programs are starting off with having to be 18 years old or older at the time the program starts. So if the student is 17 years old, they can apply for the program as long as they turn 18 before the program starts. Students also have to be in good academic standing, which means a 2.0 GPA or higher. The additional requirements for our semester programs include that a student has to have completed 12 college level units successfully. We do count AP classes, and we do have many dual enrollment students that are participating in our programs. The semester programs do have a 2.5 GPA requirement, and some of the programs have an English 110 requirement just because of the courses that are being offered. Sometimes they have a prerequisite of English 110, so that would be a program requirement just due to the prerequisite. You do not have to be enrolled at SBCC to apply for our programs, and there are no major or language requirements for our programs either. So if you decide you want to go into marine biology, but you want to participate in a communications or film studies program abroad, that is no problem. Each program has its own program page on our website, which is sbcc.edu/study abroad. And the program pages will list the cost of the program, the housing situation, with which excursions are included. Every program is different, so make sure that students are checking out the actual program page of the specific program in order to learn what the cost is and what it includes and what it does not include. Generally speaking, the round trip airfare, tuition and books, and international health insurance or other insurances are not included in the program cost. However, the housing and all mandatory excursions are always included in the program cost. Everything else depends on the program. So there might be food and meals included in some programs where students are staying at families, and some other programs, students will be in student housing, and those we usually don't include meals because students like to go to the market and then cook together, which is nice. In terms of program cost, the short programs in the summer or winter break range anywhere from $1,800 to $4,500, while the semester programs in the fall or spring are anywhere from $5,500 to $12,000. It sounds like a lot, but just keep in mind that all the housing is included. So you're paying rent with that program cost. You're paying all the entry fees to museums and other excursions. You are paying for overnight trips that are included on the program. So considering that, it's actually really affordable cost. And again, much cheaper than many programs offered on four-year universities. You can use your financial aid, and you can also use Promise. So all the high school students that are coming with Promise to SBCC can use Promise to pay the tuition and books. You can use your FAFSA to pay for it. And then there are additional scholarships like the SBCC scholarships, as well as the Benjamin A. Gilman Scholarship or Fund for Education Abroad scholarships that are up to $5,000. So for some program, that means the whole program might be covered. We have some programs coming up in the 2023 school year. That includes 2 summer programs. One of them is going to Tokyo, Japan. It's Film Studies and Communications. It's led by Professor Mika Gerard and Professor Stinson. Both of them have intimate knowledge of Tokyo, as Professor Gerard was born in Tokyo and Professor Stinson has lived in Tokyo. The other summer program is Surfing, Stretching and Relaxation and Spanish Grammar in Manuel Antonio, Costa Rica. We actually already have a few high school students that are accepted into that program. So I think this might be a really great program for your current students that are hopefully moving on to Santa Barbara City College. We also have a fall program coming up, which offers marine biology, oceanography, sociology, and anthropology in Bali, Indonesia. That program is usually very popular and fills really quickly. Even though the deadlines are listed right here, I do encourage all students to apply as soon as possible. All these programs are actually pretty popular. The Japan program is currently full, but is on a waiting list, so you can still apply and might have a chance to get in the program. And the other programs I am expecting to fill pretty fast as well. Most likely by this application deadline, programs will be full. In the spring of 2024, we will have a program going to Italy. The courses being offered on that will be history, art history, and Italian language. And once we have all the confirmed details for the program, it will be on our program page. I tried to get through this very fast because I was told I only have 5 minutes. So hopefully I answer some of the general questions that you might have about the program. But if you have additional questions, or if your students have any additional questions, please get in touch with me. I'm available to answer questions. My office hours are Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. You can, of course, call me at 805-730-4294. You can email me at nwalther@pipeline.sbcc.edu. As you can see here, you can also just visit our Study Abroad website to find details. And that includes when our information sessions are. All our programs have information sessions that are either on campus here at SBCC or via Zoom or both. And you can find information on when and where and how on our website. Again, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact me. I hope I will see many students from your high school in my future programs.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. That was our
Hi, my name is
presentation
Nicole.
for today. We are so grateful to have some guests, and hopefully you learned a little something more about our community college, and you can share that information with fellow educators, families, and your students. We will be sending an email once the webinar is posted onto our website, and we look forward to meeting you and working with you. Thank you and have a great night.